I've done it before, but I've never done it solo. I would say I didn't love it. Like, it's a lot of work, it's stressful.
Definitely hectic and high pressure.
Process arrival information, Hotel 20530.
Just remember, everybody, if you're not already on the transition, you can go direct to Green Lake. Find somebody to join up and follow at Green Lake.
But, like, I set up for what Nate has told me to do. So, anyway, I don't think I'm going direct Green Lake.
Dave was also on his own this year.
Good rock, good rock. Turn right turn due east over the east-west road under the left crosswind for runway 18.
And we got some great insights from experts and insiders.
I work pretty closely with the FAA on the arrival NOTAM, now called Notice.
We also confirmed that doing this solo is not super enjoyable, honestly.
Without another pilot there to be calling out, and that really helped to find someone to follow, so I think if it was just one, that would be kind of brutal.
There aren't go-around instructions in the NOTAM because it's hard to cover every possible case. The safest thing is to go around. You will not have to go back to Ripon. You will not have to do the entire approach.
So that's what's coming at us.
Please seek shelter. Again, the National Weather Service has issued a severe thunderstorm warning, arriving in Oshkosh around 5:55.
Anybody on frequency, go direct Ripon as fast as you can for time speed weather.
I'm going as fast as I can.
In this episode, I'm going to do my best to get you prepared for what you're facing both in the air and on the ground flying into AirVenture.
And there is a tension between what would be optimal for a single pilot landing in a normal airport and what you need to do landing in the world's busiest airport.
A lot of cool things happened at the event this year, but pushing the airplane into Boeing Plaza to be a part of the Vans aircraft 50th anniversary was definitely an honor. All right, have a good one, guys.
Thank you so much.
And that's one of my favorite things to do as Flight Chops is to give away flying experiences. And thanks to Aeroleds, a Flight Chops viewer also got to fly with the Aeroshell team. And this happened.
The next kit workmanship award goes to Charlie Foxtrot, Charlie Golf Alpha. It's an RD-14. Stephen Thorne, Ontario.
After being on display outside all week, I appreciated some help from Mike Patey.
Yeah, I went through everything with him out here for a few minutes, and everything looks great.
We gave Mike the skill job on the tape. He's actually doing a better job than I was. Done this more than once, eh, Mike?
I've done it a couple of times.
As we'd had the airplane being displayed at Lycoming, we had the cowl off for most of the week. And the other aircraft that I had to get to AirVenture was the Super Patriot, which I had enjoyed the heck out of test flying for the entire month of July. But then it also had to get to AirVenture.
We got a new toy.
So I handed it off to Dave so he could do that flight.
Not a tremendously great day to go. Extensive weather analysis from the SiriusXM stuff and a full briefing from the London FIC kind of give me some degree of confidence of being able to get at least as far as Chicago tonight.
Oh, look at this treat.
Dave has a real day job, so he couldn't fly on the Friday like I did, so he went the following day ahead of all the storms.
I suspect the arrival's going to be fairly busy, even though it will be later in the day. Because tomorrow's weather kind of looks like garbage. I am listening to AC/DC on SiriusXM though, so it's keeping me entertained.
I lent Dave the GDL-52 so he'd have onboard weather. I've got it built into the RV-14, but he needed it a lot more than I did.
Okay, we're at Michigan City, Indiana. Full tanks, took on 22 gallons, which is fairly reflective of what the gauges were showing. I'm pointing the airplane into wind for startup because it is incredibly freaking windy here. This is one of the hairiest approaches I think I've ever flown. Nothing terribly unsafe about it, just real mechanical turbulence over this forest ridgeline that comes in here. And, you know, this airplane, when it's moving slowly, requires substantial control deflections.
So Dave's flight was largely a lot more eventful than my high IFR flight in beautiful weather, but my approach and landing was a little more tricky than his. And I chose to fly the high fast arrival because flying extended periods at 90 knots with hot ambient temperatures puts my oil closer to the red line than I'd like.
Wind, half-mile southwest of Fisk, make a right turn eastbound, overflight Fisk Avenue.
That's my twin.
And that twin, you can go ahead and descend to 1800, 90 knots. Actually, you can go a little faster than that. Descend to 1800, and don't forget the gear monitor tower on 118.5. Enter the left downwind for runway 18 at 1800. RV, half-mile southwest of Fisk, strike your wings. Good rock, good rock. I see you. Make a right turn for me. You're going to follow that twin ahead. Fly over 5th Avenue. You're getting 1-8. I'll be right back with you. Stay with me.
The wind was favoring 1-8, so I was glad to get that. Claire had done the approach into 2-7 with a student of hers in a Citabria the day before. Tower's like, start descending on downwind, which is pretty unusual. And I just showed at my approach, and I was pretty low. Like, I didn't even finish my final turn until I pretty much touched down.
Yeah.
And that's how it is, right? Like, so
yeah.
how did it go for you guys? How low were you on?
So we got the 2-7 arrival, which is what I've had when I've come in last year as well. And that one's challenging just because you can't, the way they publish it, you can't start descending until you're midfield. So you're midfield and then a really short approach, basically turning over the threshold to land around midfield of the runway. So we pulled the power, we let the nose come down, but you have so much energy then rolling out onto final that our float's really long, and we were in a pretty aggressive slip just to try and get it down to the ground. And even then we're coming in pretty fast.
We'll meet Ed in a minute and hear more from Claire shortly, but first, some more context about the arrival from Fred. That is a lot. Flight, line operations, traffic operations.
Yeah, there you go. Or I'm the NOTAM chairman.
Okay, well that's a good one too. Have the gas in case the hold is active, because the runway shuts down. Like how often do you get someone gear upping or shutting down a runway?
It can happen for any particular reason. You know, it isn't necessarily an accident. Some wonderful airplane decides to come in and all of a sudden, you know, the airport is closed for 15 minutes. So, you know, that will happen abruptly. That's part of coming to an exciting airport. Right. You know, your flight instructor almost for sure told you to make a stabilized approach from 1,000 feet straight in. If you're landing at your home airport, that's what you would do. And here, a lot of things seem to run contrary to that. The controllers are trying to handle a tremendous disparity of airspeeds. Very slow light fabric airplanes. We're just watching a jet do a go-round. Yep. You know, it simply would not be possible for everyone to make a 1,000-foot straight-in landing, and so the controllers have a reduced separation allowed. Normally at a Class D airspace, they could have 3,000 feet. Here they have 1,500-foot spacing. The dots actually are 1,500 feet apart to show the controllers exactly what that is. They actually have a little fudge factor. They're actually 1,500 feet apart from edge to edge, not center to center, but essentially that's the spacing that they're required to maintain. And so it's a little bit of a contradiction. The NOTAM will tell people to descend in the downwind and then make a tight base and a turn, and then at the bottom of the page it'll say avoid low turns. So kind of a contradiction.
Also, people will have a tremendous fear of overshooting the center line, and there will be times when that will be appropriate to not overshoot it, like in closely spaced parallel runways. But here, if you overshoot the center line and go to the edge of the runway, you know, it's not that big a deal. You can bring yourself back. So what I did was I flew 3 different kinds of botched base to final turns, one with too much rudder, one with too much bank and not enough backstick, and one with a lot of bank, and as if the pilot thinks that they're high or thinks that they're about to have an incipient spin, they push the stick forward. And if you're already 30 degrees nose down and you push the stick forward, that's not going to be good. I took the digital data and massaged it to make it like I was flying into Oshkosh at 500 feet AGL on base leg, and then replayed it through Cloud Ahoy. One recovered at 100 feet, one recovered at 20 feet, and one recovered at 30 feet underground. What's really significant was that in each of those scenarios, I put myself into the unsettling situation, and then I recovered immediately, whereas in the real world, a pilot would have had some hesitation, startle effect, or what do I do now, or gee, this doesn't look good. And if you're coming down at 4,000 feet a minute from 500 feet, a few seconds of indecision can be fatal.
Oshkosh arrival information, Hotel 2053 Zulu weather. Wind is 2109, gusting to 17. Visibility 10, sky clear. Temperature 32, dew point 16, altimeter 29085. RNAV and VOR runway 27 approach in use. VFR arrival procedures in effect. Puckaway Lake transition is in use.
Yeah, I'm gonna let those guys sort that mess out, because I don't need to be a part of all that. Look at that. I'm gonna continue to what I planned on.
Get a Cessna half mile southwest of Fisk. Rack your wings.
Yes.
All right, I think everybody can go to Green Lake now. If you joined at the Buckaway Lake transition, just continue on inbound, but if you didn't, just join up at Green Lake, pick an aircraft to follow, at least a half-mile in trail, do the 90 knots. Once you get to Ripon, directly over the train tracks. No side-by-sides, no S-turning, just follow somebody at least a half-mile.
This guy.
Nose to tail. I'll pick you out when you're about a mile from Fisk.
So my issue was traffic as opposed to weather that Dave was dealing with the following day.
So far, I really like it. And I really like that the radar picture is a little more realistic than what comes out of ADS-B. Doesn't overpaint. I find it's very accurate to what is actually going on. Whereas a lot of times I fly through ADS-B stuff that's green or yellow and the sky is almost clear.
We are not sure why the Juneau runways are closed. We're speculating that maybe there's a full.
10-0 Charlie X-ray, coming out Dodge County Airport.
Yeah, UNU, yeah. We don't know why exactly the runways are closed on our airspace, but we're speculating it's because they're full because of all the, obviously, EAA traffic.
Check remarks. I'll get back to you on a destination, I guess, if they're not open by the time I get a little closer, but they're showing the NOTAM expiring in 1 hour, and I'm about 35 minutes away.
Okay.
Full is not the answer I want to hear.
What comments did your student have to say during or after that are repeatable?
Yeah, I think she was a little disappointed that she bounced. I didn't give her much grief over that. She was coming in so fast. I think it's pretty reasonable to bounce. One thing, and we kind of talked about this, it's really hard to know. We always brief an abort point, so if I'm not down and braking by this point, this is where we need to go around. But at Oshkosh, it's a little different because you need to have kind of several abort points, because if I'm not stabilized on final, it's better for everyone if I just go around right away. Versus in a training environment, or maybe me on my own, if I get some sort of bounce on a touchdown, I might just go around because that's easier. You kind of have to rethink that here because it might be better just to have an uglier landing and get on the ground.
And just to dispel the myth about being sent away to start the arrival procedure all over again, it's not the end of the world if you go around at Oshkosh.
Yeah, the controllers do a great job of spacing aircraft to the runway, but they're not the ones that are responsible for landing safely. And so when the controller says, I want you to land on the green dot, he really doesn't mean that you must land on the dot. It's just a general spacing. And it's important that you as a pilot keep track of, is there a crosswind? Should you be correcting for that? And if you're landing near the green dot, that's plenty. Yeah. And not lose your focus, because the important thing is to land safely. There's lots of waivers here for reduced separation, but no waiver makes your airplane more capable or you more capable to handle a crosswind just because you're at a big air show. Right. So you got to stay within your own personal limits. And in that regard, a lot of pilots don't understand that it is possible to do a go-round. If you have in fact, I talk to pilots who think they aren't allowed to do a go-round. The contrary is the case. If it's not safe, if you're not comfortable, the safest thing is to go around. You will not have to go back to Ripon. You will not have to do the entire approach. You have to go around. Remember, that's always in your toolkit.
I took the opportunity to debrief my landing with Ed. You'll watch how it plays out. I'm still turning final at 10 feet above ground. So, and I'll press play and just talk through if you want, or just react to it or anything, or just press spacebar.
All right, let's make sure we don't screw up our orientation.
Yeah, don't screw up.
Cessna on the downwind. Keep bringing that descent down. Cessna on the downwind. There you go.
Yeah,
nice job.
undercarriage mixture prop.
I'm going to turn your base here shortly inside the blue dot. There's Cessna on the downwind.
Twin. I got 1 notch out. Oil is cooking. That's why I didn't want to fly 90 the whole way. That was the right call.
Twin Cessna, turn your downwind, start your descent. Cessna on the downwind, turn base. Cessna on the downwind, turn base. There you go. 1 turn to final, look for the yellow dot, clear to land at or after the yellow dot. Cessna on your base, just keep that turn going around. 1 turn to final, look for the yellow dot, clear to land at or after the yellow dot. RV, turn downwind, start your descent, RV. Twin Cessna, turn base. Twin Cessna, turn base. Nice job, Twin Cessna. I want you to turn it all the way around, look for the yellow dot, clear to land at or after the yellow dot. RV, keep that descent coming. I'm going to turn your base inside the blue dot.
Yeah, that can be surprising for some people who've never turned base to the middle of a runway.
Twin Cessna, keep that turn coming around. Don't square it off. Just keep coming around. You're going to dogleg right towards that yellow dot, clear to land at or after the yellow dot. Cessna on the runway. You can turn right into the grass. It's rolled smooth. Yep, right there. And look for the flagman. Make sure you got your placard in the window.
I don't want grass. Don't make me do grass.
Nice job, Twin Cessna. Just keep it airborne all the way down to that yellow dot. RV turn base, RV turn base. Nice job, RV. You're following a twin. He's over the runway, now just over the pink dot. He's going to go down to the orange dot. I want you to go down to the orange dot also. I'm sorry, the yellow dot. You're clear to land at or after the yellow dot, RV.
I mean, I had a conversation with this student. Again, she's a commercial pilot, but I really need you to pull off this landing. Like, no pressure, but you gotta, this has to be a good landing. So that's why we practice, and I think people just have to be ready for that. It needs to be a good landing.
Or a landing.
A landing, an acceptable landing,
yeah.
For sure.
Because the tower was like, good job, RV. And I was like, I keyed the mic, and I was like, I don't think that's a good job.
Nice job, Twin Cessna, nice job. If you can make that hard service, if you need the hard service right there, you can make it. If not, if you need the next hard service, just exit without delay, please. Nice job, RV. You're doing a great job. Just keep it airborne all the way down there to the yellow dot.
Certainly in terms of flight mechanics, I think you had everything dialed in. You had plenty of speed, you had a real shallow bank, everything was happy. I think the major problem here is psychological.
I guess it's a bit of a bounce, but anyways, I'll take it.
Nice job, RV. Nice job.
Yeah.
If you need that hard service, just exit without delay. If you want to go on the grass, it is rolled smooth. Make sure you have your flag in the window and look for the flagman.
Yeah, I'll take those, sir. Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't know if that's a nice job, but...
You guys did a nice job. Thank you very much for coming.
Because people haven't seen that sight picture, or in high traffic situations, everybody's making impossible turns, and you're thinking, boy, I'm not sure I want to do that, but everybody else is, so I'm going to. So I think a lot of the problems are psychological and just not having seen it.
I was kind of finishing turning final as I touched down. Like, I was 20 feet above the grass still on the diagonal.
On the EA webpage for the NOTAM, there's a sample approach, and I flew it with a controller to 1.8, and same thing, did the turn. And I fly at Pioneer Airport. We fly 500 feet AGL, then lots of low turns, but it's not something that people normally do. And when you come in here, it's not what you did sometime long ago, it's what you're currently used to. It really is important to have practiced a low turn, practiced right traffic, some of the things that you might not normally do.
So let's watch Dave arrive on 27.
They're 1 Sierra Romeo on frequency.
1 Sierra Romeo.
Can we get a pirate?
Right now, there's no rain, no precipitation, but I can see it off to the west.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. And high wing with the wigwags, half mile southwest of 5th. Rock your wings. Nice rock, nice rock. And which runway would you like?
27.
Roger. Continue northeastbound up the railroad tracks under the right downwind for runway 27. Stay inside the gravel pit. Maintain 1,800 until the downwind. And monitor tower 118.5. Welcome to the show.
I got wigwags.
Yeah, I think the Super Patriot landing lights actually automatically switch to wigwag when you get going faster than 70.
Everything's up, airplane's secure.
I mean, last year I was just holding on by the seat of my pants, honestly, trying to figure it all out. So this year I was a little more comfortable with it, but that was the one big takeaway is you really do need to practice that kind of approach before you come here, or it's going to be a go-around, or it's going to be a gross landing, or somewhere in between. And we did a couple trips around the pattern, just descending on midfield, letting the nose come down and coming in, because what takes practice is turning it into a quality landing after such a crazy approach.
Low and keep your turn around. Keep turn coming, keep the turn coming. Just about the turn final. Keep the turn coming, turn all the way down to the green dot, please. Hurry up, all the way down the green dot, things, keep it in the air. Hey, you guys are doing great on that base. You guys, those three are following each other just fine, you low wings. You're going all the way down the green dot, clear line, green dot. Thunder tires, you're following the Cherokee on the base, clear the land on the green dot. Looking good, guys. Welcome to Oshkosh, winds 260 at 4.
Well, I guess I get to use the Patriot speed here, because these guys are real close.
Thunder tires, turn inbound, please. Clear the land on the green dot.
Traffic.
Cirrus type over the gravel pit. Start your descent, turn your base turn over the numbers. Exiting, turn left into the grass. Turn left into the grass, follow Flagler's Park. Welcome to Oshkosh.
This system hit the field shortly after Dave landed, so the pressure was real to get here before that arrived.
He's going to left into the grass for parking. Left into the grass for parking, follow Flagler's Park.
Dave is set up nicely for the green dot, but he's about to get a last-minute curveball.
Thunder tires, clear the lane on the orange dot, please. Put it down, thank you. Cirrus type turn base now.
really just a question of know your airplane, know what you're up against.
And practice.
And practice, yeah. And definitely be sure you've studied the NOTAM, or notice. It seems like a lot, but you read it, you really only need to study probably 6 or 7 pages that apply to your ops, right?
Yep, well, I had one pilot tell me that it was much too long. He says years ago it was a 2-page document in sport aviation. He says it was great. He still uses it. Don't be that pilot.
Yeah, don't be that guy. Read the NOTAM, or the notice it's called now. And then there's the whole ground ops side of things, which can be just as daunting if you're not prepared. Can you believe he's camping?
Well, there's a King Air going camping. All kinds of, you never know who you're going to be parked next to.
That's fun. Fred also reminded me that one of the best ways to learn all about AirVenture is to volunteer to help out with one of the crews.
This is flight line operations, basically handling the traffic that are landing and trying to get them to the destination where they want to be.
You can volunteer for as many or as few shifts as you want on whatever cruise, but there's a lot of people that make this a big part of their event. That is awesome. You got a lot of years, and you got a lot of years.
This is nothing to some of them.
Yeah? I jumped in the back of the punch buggy to watch the afternoon shift change happen.
The one case when we don't want to stop somebody is if they're getting off the runway. Even if you have to direct an aircraft in the wrong direction, no big deal. I guarantee you, you will misdirect an aircraft at some point on this shift. I will too. Just before you direct them to turn, double check to make sure something hasn't come in that direction. Because when you're directing them, more important than that you're telling them that's the way you want to go is that you're telling them that's where it's safe to go. And so, you know, it's happened to me a number of times where I direct somebody and then, whoops, oh, where did that guy come from? It is important to plan for an alternate and really plan just like you would plan an instrument approach. The fact that you may have to do a missed approach, you know, be happily surprised if you actually get to land at Oshkosh, but you need to know not only where you would go, if it's Fond du Lac, Appleton, or someone else, but know ahead of time how you're going to get there, have those charts. So if you have to make that decision, it isn't such a difficult thing. Have plenty of gas, and probably the main thing is don't try to cut it close. Don't try to come in just before the airport closes at night. Don't try to come in just before the air show, because every day there are people that get turned away. Things always take a little longer than you expect, and it just makes it tense. So if you really want to avoid the crowds, there's never any guarantee. But normally, 7 o'clock in the morning, 7 to 8, 7 even to 9, it's not too busy.
Steve Thorne, Instagram influencer.
Gotta do it. Did you bust me doing the Instagram story? My least favorite part of this whole thing is selfies.